Welcome to Southwest Florida Real Estate Update, hosted by area realtor Jim York and York Real Estate Group of Downing Fry Realty. Our show will bring you the most up-to-date information about the local real estate market, featuring leading experts in the real estate field.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Southwest Florida Real Estate Update. Today with our host Jim York and his guest Dwight Brock, Collier County Clerk of Courts.
Thank you for the introduction, Michael. Well, Mr. Brock, thank you for coming on the show again this year. Why don't you, for our viewers that maybe don't know you and that's moved in the area here, well, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Thanks for inviting me, Jim. I enjoy doing these programs with you. For those that don't know me, my name is Dwight Brock. I am the Clerk and Comptroller of Collier County. And I've been here for about 24 years now, since 1992 and 1993. I was elected in 92 and took office in 93. I got my bachelor's degree in business administration with a specialization in accounting from Florida State University. Got my MBA from Stetson University and my Juris Doctorate, which is a law degree, from Nova University in Fort Lauderdale. I'm both a licensed certified public accountant and attorney here in the state of Florida and have been since 1982.
And that's, just to blow your horn a little bit, but that's a unique qualification for this job, isn't it?
Well, I mean, that is basically what the job does. We are the accountant, the auditor, custodian of county funds, and in addition to that, we handle the affairs of the courts. All of the documents that get filed in the trial courts in Collier County are filed with the clerk. We deal with all of the accounting associated with the court system. We deal with processing the paperwork, collecting the fines, everything associated with dealing with finances of the court through the system, where we distribute that money to the state of Florida, to its individual trust funds and everything, and deal with the courts in the courtroom every day.
Well, one of the topics I'd like to talk today about is, over the years it's been a hot topic and throughout the country, but I'd like you maybe just to talk about foreclosures and where they've been in our county and maybe where they have, recently, and then the trends you see going forward.
Certainly. Back before the bottom fell out of the real estate market, we had probably averaged 50 cases a year of foreclosures. And then it got up to where we were, during the peak of the real estate bubble, we had 17,000 of them. So it just skyrocketed. Foreclosures tax the resources of the clerk's office probably more than any other case that goes through the system, because of all of the things that we have to do. We actually have to sell the properties and do all of the things associated with that. So that had a tremendous impact on our operations, and at the same time all that was going on, we were like all other governments and private enterprise. We were taxed for funding. So through that process we struggled. Now we are a couple of years ago, the Florida legislature changed the foreclosure statute, which made it a little more cumbersome for the people that were filing the foreclosures. And during that period of time, when everybody was getting used to that and accustomed to that, the foreclosures went down again. They went way down. Now it's coming back up. So it's somewhere around between 700 and 800 cases last year in the foreclosure market, but you can see it beginning to go back up.
And for what reason do you think that is, or do you know or not?
Well, it takes a long time for the foreclosure cases to work through the system.
Right.
And, there was a period of time in which people were very reluctant because of the changes that the legislature had put in place for the foreclosure process, that they stopped filing a lot of the foreclosures to deal with those issues. that had been created by the legislature, and now they have worked through those. So, it's beginning to creep back up a little. I don't think it has anything to do with the real estate market. I think it is more of a backlog of cases that hadn't been filed from previous activity.
The other thing, being in real estate, I get this question all the time, and I do teach a class on this, but just from your background or being the clerk of the court, tell our viewers a little bit about, if they want to buy a foreclosure, the risk and reward that, would you please?
Well, what happens in a foreclosure case is the judge issues a judgment, which comprises the amount that is due on the loan, plus attorney's fees, costs, interest associated with that process, and there is a dollar figure as the final judgment that's given to the party that files the foreclosure action. And at the same time that the judge issues that judgment, as part of that judgment, he tells me to sell it at auction. So we then sell that property at auction. Now, one of the things that a lot of people need to know about that process is if the judge has not extinguished other liens or encumbrances on that property, those still exist.
Such as what?
Such as if there's a mortgage on it that has not been named in the foreclosure action and it's still hanging around out there, or any other lien that might be hanging around out there that was not named by the party when they filed the foreclosure, that is still there. And to give you an example of the potential impact that might have, I had a real live scenario one time. Had a gentleman that walked into our office and bid on a piece of property and made an offer, and at the time you make the offer, you've got to give me guaranteed funds of, I think it's 5%.
Right.
Okay? And when you give me those guaranteed funds, those are gone. In this particular scenario, the individual had a bank check for $20,000. And he gave me the bank check to cover his deposit, and he was supposed to bring in the remaining balance of his bid the following day. And he apparently went home and discovered that he in fact had bought a piece of property that was in fact a second mortgage that had been foreclosed, and there was a primary first mortgage on it. The primary first mortgage was actually more than the judgment on the second mortgage. So he was buying a liability in reality, not an asset. So the check he gave us, we deposited in the bank. It went through the process and came back to us as refused by the bank. So we contacted the bank to ask them why they had refused it, and he told us, well, the person or bidder had come in and indicated to them that he had lost the deposit or lost the check.
Right.
And my comment to the bank, sort of tongue-in-cheek, was, well, he probably did lose it, but he lost it through the process of negotiating it to the clerk in a foreclosure sale. So you have that risk.
Right.
And, I want everybody to be aware of that fact because, I am certainly not wanting to take that money because where that money goes is to the judgment holder.
Right.
That deposit then goes into the money available for the court to satisfy that judgment. So I don't want that scenario to impact the people that live here in Collier County or anyone else adversely without them knowing it. So, I try to tell everybody that comes in and talks to me of this potential. And it can be, as that example showed, it can be somewhat
Costly.
heartbreaking
Right.
if that happens to you.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Brock, we're going to take a little bit break here, and we're going to be back in 1 minute.
Certainly.
Thank you.
Thinking of buying or selling a home in Naples, Marco, Bonita, or Estero, Florida? Think of the most experienced York real estate group associated with the #1 brokerage in Naples, Downing Fry Realty, which produced $1.9 billion in sales in 2014, controlling 43% of all transactions in Naples. Jim, Michael, and Morgan York make up the York Real Estate Group of Downing Fry Realty. With over $250 million in sales transactions, they can offer you the expertise and trust you want and need in a realtor. Call them today at 239-273-6727 or visit their website, www.naplesyorkrealestate.com.
Welcome back. Mr. Brock, thank you for giving us or enlightening us about the foreclosure. So let's next go to tax deeds, okay?
Certainly.
That's something that I don't think a lot of people know anything about, and I know at least my clients don't. So maybe you could just tell us the trends in tax deeds, just like you did with foreclosures, and tell
Certainly.
us how can you buy a tax deed? Or
Okay. The process starts out with the Board of County Commissioners imposing a tax on your property. It's the taxing mechanism set up by the state of Florida. And if you do not pay that, then what happens is the tax collector, who would ordinarily collect the taxes, sells what is called a tax certificate.
that's right.
Okay, he sells them at auction, just like we would sell the property. Then after 2 years, if that tax certificate has not been refunded, what transpires is the individual that purchased the certificate can go back to the tax collector and force that tax certificate to go to a tax deed sale.
Okay.
Okay, that tax deed sale takes place with the clerk's office, not with the tax collector's office. So what happens is very similar to a foreclosure sale. We actually sell the property and we will then issue a tax deed. In that case, there's also a minimum bid. There is a difference, a very substantial difference in a tax deed sale and a foreclosure sale, in that a tax deed sale actually cuts off all liens or encumbrances with the exception of governmental liens.
Really?
Yep. Generally speaking, all the rest of them are gone. So you take it free and clear with the exceptions of governmental liens. So you get basically a pretty clean title to the property when you go through a tax sale. But we sell it the same way that we sell the foreclosure sales. And I have a room full of people every time we hold a sale. You know, over the years, during the period of time in which the economy was not doing very well, like in 2009, 2010, you know, there was a lot of these tax certificates that were sold, which then takes several years to go through the process. And in 2013, you know, we had about 213 tax deed sales for properties. And because the economy's gotten a little better and it is more ability for the individual to pay his taxes, then that number of tax certificates that get sold goes down, and the number of tax deeds. So we've gone from about 230 in 13 to 139 in 2015. So we've had about a 70% reductions in the number of tax deed sales. And we don't see that trend changing.
You don't?
No.
So if somebody buys a tax certificate
Yes.
in 2 years, then they can call it for a tax deed.
If
they're not reimbursed for what they paid.
That is
I
correct.
think
What the individual that buys that certificate does is he gives the government the taxes.
Right, that's right.
Okay? Then they can get a certificate based upon him having paid the tax collector for those taxes. And unless he gets paid back
Within 2 years.
within 2 years,
Right.
and there's also an interest rate involved in
That's
there,
right.
which is actually what
You bid on.
you bid on when
Right.
you buy it from the tax collector, and it's not reimbursed or paid back to the party. Then at the end of 2 years, he can come to the tax collector and ask them to force it to sale. Then it's all sent over to the clerk's office, and we sell it. We will sell it for a price. A lot of times there is a surplus in that there is more in the sale price than there was in
tax certificate.
Actually the minimum bid, which includes a multitude of things, but the taxes and everything associated with it. And at the end of that process, we then have to look up all those people and try to distribute those funds.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times, you have competing claims, and when you have competing claims, we are required by law to file what's called as an interpleader, in which we go to court and we say, hey, we have this money, it's not ours, and we don't know who it belongs to. So we're going to put it into the registry of the court, and the court can then have the parties fight over whose money it is. And they have to pay us our attorney's fees for doing that.
Does that happen often?
Happens very frequently.
Okay.
It is happening less frequently today than it did during the real estate burst, but it still happens quite frequently.
Well, you did an excellent job explaining that. Let's go on to your website.
Yes.
Okay. I think it's very easy to maneuver if you can understand it. So maybe just tell our viewers what is on the website and what information they can gather if they're looking for something.
Right. Well, I mean, since you're in the real estate, we'll start with the official records. Okay. The official records are recordations in the clerk's office of all instruments affecting an interest in real property that people want to record. The purpose of recording that is very simple, is to provide the rest of the people in the world with notice of the existence of that title or encumbrance on that property. Okay? So you have a deed, you want to record it so everybody knows you own it, so that the potential of a seller going out and selling again to a what's called a BFP for value, bona fide purchaser of value, buying it from the seller for a second time, not knowing about your deed, and collecting money, that person has the potential, because of the lack of notice, of taking better title than you if it's recorded first.
Right.
And the point that I'm trying to make here is that everybody should understand that the first thing you want to do once you buy property is you want to go record that property so that everybody is on notice of the existence of it.
Right.
Okay? And once that is done, all of these are on the website. During the years that I have been clerk, we have automated all of that and put it on the website for people to view sitting at home at their leisure.
That's
There's
right.
one thing that I want to ask the public to do, and that is years and years ago, the Florida legislature required this Social Security number on judgments of people. So those would get recorded and it would have your Social Security number. Age of technology came along and the Florida legislature realized the potential problem of that. So they directed the clerk of courts to go out and take all of that out. Well, I mean, I have millions and millions and millions and millions of free-form documents that have no rhyme or reason to how they're set up. So the legislature said what you do is you hire somebody to create a algorithm that will search for a series of numbers or strings of numbers that might have your bank account, Social Security number, credit card number, or something like that on it. And once you do that, then it identified for me all of those that we could catch. We would then go through those that it identified and try to pull them out and redact them. Now, obviously, it's not 100% perfect. And the point that I'm trying to make here is everybody should go to our website, go into the official records, look at the official records, search your name and then go look at each of those records to make sure there's not a bank account in there that shouldn't be there, there's not a social security number that shouldn't be there, or that there is not a credit card number that shouldn't be there. I mean, you would be amazed at what some of these attorneys and title companies put on these documents. And if there is, you need to call my office. It takes us just about 30 seconds once we can identify the document to redact it and get it out of there, and then nobody can see it. You know, obviously when we first did that, we had a lot of people that were identifying documents because it's been there for quite a while, and every time I have an opportunity to speak, I try to alert the people of this. There are very few in there anymore, but everybody ought to check. Help me, literally help me, help you by trying to protect that sensitive information.
Okay. Well, Mr. Brock, we're going to take a little short break,
Certainly.
okay, and then we're going to come back and talk about your outreach programs,
Sure.
okay? We'll be back in 1 minute. Thank you.
Thinking of buying a home located in a golf course community in the Naples, Marco, Bonita, or Estero, Florida? Here is what Mark Lai, former PGA winner, says about Realtor Michael York of the York Real Estate Group of Downing Fry Realty.
Hi, I'm Mark Lai. If you have any real estate needs in Naples, Florida, the one company to contact is the York Real Estate Group. Also, if you want a golf course property to invest in, Michael York of the York Real Estate Group is the guy to contact. Michael knows every golf course in Naples. I will tell you this, he's been in the golf business for a long time. He's played all the great golf courses down here, and he is an outstanding realtor. I've known him for quite some time, and he's he's got a lot of integrity, and he very much knows his stuff on all the different clubs here in Naples. So the York Real Estate Group is a great place to start. So if you have any time or anybody that wants to visit down here in Naples and look at the options out there, please contact the York Real Estate Group.
Welcome back. Mr. Brock, you do a lot of outreach programs, which goes out to the community and talks to people about various topics. So what I'd like to do in this final segment is to describe to the people what you do by doing this and how they can help by attending one of your seminars.
Absolutely. You know, obviously there are attorneys in town that will do any amount of legal work that you ask them to do. But
That's right.
there are also a simplified process that the courts have put in place for dealing with small dollar amount claims less than $5,000, which is called small claims court. And you know, you can file those. Generally, there's not an attorney involved on the other side. Sometimes there is, but generally speaking, there's not. And you can file those yourself. We hold outreach seminars 3 or 4 times a year on how to go about doing that. I'll provide you with the documents that you need and the general law associated therewith. You can then do it for yourself, and you know, I will try to guide you through that process. Even though I am a licensed attorney in Florida, Florida law prohibits me from practicing law for anyone except the clerk of the court's office. So I can't give you legal advice, but I can give you the law and give you general information that'll assist you through the process. We have a seminar. It lasts about 2 hours, and we go through everything that is associated with a tenant eviction. We try to go through not only the landlord's rights, but we also try to go through what the tenant's rights are, so that it is a balanced approach that we take toward it. And we simply just basically walk you through how you do it. We do the same thing with tenant evictions. Tenant evictions is another common thing. So as you go through that process, we show you how to file them. We provide you with the documents that you need to provide them or where you can get them, and walk you through the process as it goes through court and what you need to do to accomplish that.
Are those forms online?
The forms are. They're all
Yeah.
promulgated by the Florida Supreme Court, and You can either get them off my website
right.
or through, I think it's the Florida Bar's website.
Yeah, I think it's yours. We've gone
Right.
through.
But with the tenant evictions, you know, we take you through the process of what you have to do and try to assist you in doing it. The same thing is true with searching our internet. You know, most people don't understand the wealth of information that there is out there in the Clerk of Court's records. And all of our records today are actually out there and available for the public. You can go out there and you can actually look at the case files that are filed in Collier County in most instances. So go through a system which we call Showcase. You look it up on our website and, you know, go into the system and actually look through the cases themselves. They have search criteria for the party names, case numbers, any of those things. You know, one of the very interesting things that I encounter quite frequently is, especially with tenant evictions, I will be assisting someone in filling out the paperwork at the counter to do a tenant eviction. And during that process, they will respond to me that, you know, I have just discovered that this person has done this like 3 or 4 times before. And it is always amazing to me. Or the thought crosses my mind, well, don't you think that should have been something you had known before you rented the property to them?
Right.
You can find that type of information on my website. You can go in there, put their name in, and it'll pull all of the cases up. Same thing is true if you're building a house. Wouldn't you want to know if that builder has been sued repetitively for breach of contract? Go in there and look at the builder's name, see what's happening. Those are the types of things that we teach in the record search. I mean, make a plug for the office from the standpoint of when you can go to these. We actually have a course that we're presenting on small claims on Wednesday, May the 18th of this year from 2 to 4 p.m. at the South Regional Library on Laley Cultural Boulevard. You need to get the information with regard to that off of my website. You can call in, make a reservation. We also have the Looking Up the Records seminar, and it is on March the 30th of this year. That's the end of this month at 2 to 4 p.m. And that's at the same location, the South Regional Library on Laley Cultural Boulevard. So you can attend any of these. These are published on my website as events and things that you can sign up for. You can also just walk in. We're fixing to start having these actually in our office over in the courthouse complex. So we have a room that we are developing to do that as we speak, and you'll be able to come over there. I mean, we usually have 40 to 50 people that show up to these, and we have a good time. Okay, you know, there is a couple of other things. You know, the clerk's office in Collier County actually assists you in obtaining your passport through the Secretary of State Division of Passports. And, you know, if it wasn't for us, you know, you'd have to drive over to Miami or up to Fort Myers or somewhere else to get them. So we do that, and you know, there's always a lot of people that are going on vacation and going out of country in the summertime. So in order to try to accommodate those people, we are going to hold a passport day in which we will actually open an office in which we will, in fact, be open Saturday for you to come in and do that for those people that are working and try to accommodate those. And we're hoping, if it is successful, that we will do that a couple of times between now and the end of school. So, you know, take advantage of that if you would like to.
Where would they get more information on that when it
They can get it from
your
our website,
Is
and we have
www?
links directly to the Secretary of State's office that will provide them information. It'll provide them with the forms, what they need. The instructions are all there. But you can also call my office, and my staff will assist you in getting that.
Yeah, mine needs to be renewed.
Yeah, well, you can do your renewal now. You don't have to come through our office to
Oh,
do
you
that.
don't?
You just get the form and send it in. Follow the instructions,
Follow instructions.
assuming that your passport has not expired.
Right, it hasn't yet.
Yeah.
It hasn't yet.
But you don't have to come through us to do that. It's just the initial passport that you have to come through us.
Okay. Well, Mr. Brock, I appreciate you coming on the show this year again, and hopefully next year you'll come and give us another update, okay?
I certainly will.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I loved it.
Yep.